I would therefore like to begin my remarks by thanking Almighty God, who has allowed us to gather here this morning in good health to celebrate International Youth Day. Youth of which I am, of course, a part, even though there are some people who, because of their age, consider themselves old, but they are young at heart. So thank you to everyone. We are celebrating this day in a rather special context, as the previous speakers have pointed out, this context of conflict. This conflict, which we describe as nothing other than the violent, barbaric manifestation of imperialism, neocolonialism, and the slavery that is being forced upon us today, what we have called terrorism. But as they said, we called upon the youth at a certain point to fight against this scourge, and the youth responded in great numbers. Today, many young people have enlisted as VDPs, and others are waiting. We can see them throughout the streets of our cities. This touches us deeply, and we dare to believe that the young people have understood why we must fight. If our ancestors fought to leave us the lands we now call Burkina Faso, it means that we too must fight to leave something for our children. If God has made it so that our generation is faced with this struggle today, it is because He knows that we have the ability to overcome it. And I know I can count on everyone so that we succeed. The struggle is not only a military one on the ground, but it is much deeper than that. In this sense, we must also fight to change our mindset. Our generation may have grown up in a system, as we know it, one that has shaped us throughout our lives, one that may be very difficult to change, but not impossible in reality, in our experience. Perhaps among us, some still have certain traits whose significance we may not realize. But I like to quote an author who said, "There is no man so wicked that he cannot change his heart if he is properly taught the ways of wisdom." I believe that each of us can change. And in this sense, it goes without saying that we can forgive someone when they are not on the path we hope for, but at the same time, by teaching them the right ways so that they can change. Because the ultimate weapon of imperialism today is manipulation, and the youth are the target. Our country, or I would say Africa, is predominantly young, and the youth are the target of this manipulation. Today, many young people have been enlisted as VDPs, and others are waiting. We can see them throughout the streets of our cities. This touches us deeply, and we dare to believe that the youth have understood why we must fight. If our ancestors fought to leave us the lands we now call Burkina Faso, it means that we too must fight to leave something for our children. If God has made it so that our generation is faced with this struggle today, it is because He knows that we have the ability to overcome it. And I know I can count on everyone for us to succeed. The fight is not only military on the ground, but it is much deeper than that. In this sense, we must also fight to change our mindset. Our generation may have grown up in a system that has shaped us over time, one that is, perhaps even more so, very difficult to change, but it is certainly not impossible. Maybe among us, some still have certain traits whose impact we may not fully realize. But I like to quote an author who once wisely said, "There is no man so wicked that he cannot change his heart if he is properly taught the ways of wisdom." Perhaps I firmly and sincerely believe that each of us can change. And in this sense, it goes without saying that we can forgive someone when they are not on the path we hope for, but at the same time by teaching them the right way so that they can change. Because the ultimate weapon of imperialism today is manipulation, and the youth are the target. Our country, or I should say Africa, is mostly young, and the youth are the target of this manipulation. And when we become aware of it, we must fight against it. Most of the time, imperialism is not necessarily those who come from elsewhere, but they are among us. And it is among us that manipulation is born. I urge the youth to break free from this, to always seek accurate information, and to always think of our homelands, of our various regions all across Africa. I repeat, if our ancestors left us a land that we found, we must leave even better lands for our children. In this regard, today we are gathered to talk about the problems facing the youth. We are certainly going to make promises to each other, even set out some prospects, but also challenge ourselves. I think that the patron and the matron have challenged you, and the minister wished to give each of you 300 francs. But I believe the challenge goes beyond that, because it's important for young people to understand something as well. We, at the executive level, are taking measures, but we also need to talk to you, to raise your awareness, so that together we can meet the challenges that we are facing today. Why am I saying this? When they tell their stories, we truly realize that they fought bravely and persistently on their own to get to where they are today. Today, as the minister mentioned, clear instructions have been given to create a single fund that can effectively support young people in entrepreneurship. You may not be asked to start entirely from scratch, but there will be a minimum to support and help you. Alongside this, very recently, we have done everything possible to remove all tax burdens for new businesses that young people will be creating. This is to ensure that you do not find yourselves facing certain difficulties in the very first years. In addition to all this, I think, as he announced, we are putting a lot of thought into vocational training. And this is one of the major reforms of this department. I think that when it came to entering university, we made this very clear. Today, it is not just about working, getting a diploma, and then looking to be employed. It is also about learning trades and being able to practice them. So today, we are looking to redirect a significant portion of the youth towards professional employment. This goes without saying that we will have to build many centers for the promotion of vocational education and teach many trades to young people, because here we are rich in resources. There are plenty of important reforms in favor of the youth that are currently underway, and throughout the world, we have come to truly understand that we can succeed because we have enough valuable resources to showcase abroad. For example, at present, we are currently focusing on agriculture, which is extremely important to us. Because, as I mentioned earlier, food self-sufficiency is a struggle. It's a struggle because when we talk about dignity, we talk about honor. If you are not self-sufficient, you have no dignity. When a father comes home in the evening and has no food to put on his child's plate, he cannot speak of dignity. The whole family will live in indignity because the mother will have to struggle however she can, in every way you can imagine, just to find something to eat. There is no dignity when you do not have enough to eat. There is no dignity when we have to beg. Do you see this new and emerging form of neocolonialism that so many people talk about, which is gradually turning our youth into beggars, into chronic lifelong dependence? We are fighting against that. When you say, start again, the path is always full of obstacles. But you must not stop because you will eventually succeed. We are extremely rich here in Burkina, we just need to realize it. Today we have decided to reorganize our society a little. Certainly some texts or conventions that had been signed were very restrictive, making it difficult for our country to get by. Today, thanks to you, we are in the process of reviewing many texts to try to give our nations what they truly deserve. It is in this spirit that when we look, for example, at the issue of gold panning, your term speaks volumes about youth employability in rural areas. Many of our young people now find themselves on artisanal production sites in the most difficult conditions. Perhaps this is what happened in Europe or America in the 1800s. When people themselves enter tunnels they have dug to extract the ore, our young people continue to experience this, risking their lives. Today we are trying to modernize things a bit. It was as a result of this that we created Sonaspe, a company that will enable us to mine and market our precious resources, especially gold. When young people are mining and others come to buy at rock-bottom prices, which contributes to funding terrorism, and the resources leave the country without us having any control, we decided to create this company to try to regain control of our mining sites and to allow the young people working there to produce in a more mechanized and respectable way. We also want each region to be able to produce a specialty. It could very well be in the field of agriculture because we have immense potential. We have natural water reserves, lakes scattered throughout the country, rivers that flow, and dams here and there, but they are not being utilized. We are working to launch this in every region, and that's why I'm announcing here that there will be a representative from each region at the presidential level as a mission officer. This process is underway. These young people will therefore need to address the concerns of the youth and above all of the women who fight day and night so that we can take progressive action where it is needed. Because the fight we are waging today against terrorism is not only carried out with weapons, but also through development. As long as young people do not have jobs, they will always be tempted to go where it is easy to make money. And that is something we must also fight against. We have already identified many hubs, and very soon, at the end of the season, we will strengthen them. Through the presidential initiative, but also through the Ministry of Agriculture, which has a very good database, and to which we have given a special mission so that we can achieve food self-sufficiency. I would like to tell you, and I want to emphasize this, not to be afraid of taking the risk of entrepreneurship. It's all about risk. We have broadened everything related to taxation around it. This is a message directed at you, the young initiates, something important. Don't be afraid to take risks. No risk, no thrill of risk. Go for it. We will support you as much as we can. And for those who are currently fighting, we are trying to do everything possible to provide them with everything they need. This is the moment for me to pay tribute to all those young people who have committed themselves wholeheartedly as VDPs, who are now out in the field, in the rain, in the drizzle, in the mud. Wherever they are asked to go, they are fighting on the ground to try to reclaim our land and thus give this country what we call territorial integrity. And each person at their own level must also be able, if not to take up the Kalashnikov, to take up something else in order to contribute to the development of this nation. And for that, we are counting only on you, the youth. I was just telling the sponsor or the patron that I was going to twist the arms of these major economic players in the country, and I think some of them are here. So get ready. We are going to push you to create initiatives. So for the youth. That's why we launched the PC in this direction, to allow us to create what we call our own companies that we want to establish, because as we say, it is inconceivable that we can produce tomatoes here and yet import tomato paste. It is absurd that we have all these oilseed products here and yet we cannot process them. We have launched this, and I invite you to sign up in large numbers, because we are going to create our own companies right here and develop them. Of course, some imperialist interests may try to divert you from the goal, but listen, aim far. Aim very far, think carefully, and keep this objective in mind. So thank you to all these young people who traveled across Africa to come and support their brothers and comrades in Burkina Faso. We thank you. We wish you a very pleasant stay in Burkina Faso and hope that you will be able to return home safely and also spread the message to all African youth. Because the struggle we are fighting is not just for Burkina Faso, but it is a struggle for all of Africa. It is time for us to wake up and no longer be forced to cross the ocean, to die in search of the much vaunted El Dorado. We can create it here. Get to work. I believe it is possible. So thank you for coming to support us during these moments of sharing and reflection. With that, I would like to say to you, so stay alert, because the struggle that has begun will be long and hard, but it is not impossible, because we believe that soon we will succeed. Thank you very much. Homeland of Death. Thank you, comrade.